Hi everyone, welcome to Chalchitra Talks. I'm Vani, and this week I want to talk to you about Journals by Kurt Cobain. For those of you who do not know, Kurt Cobain was this frontman of Nirvana. He is considered to be one of the most iconic and influential rock musicians in the history of grunge rock. Now, I do not know about you, but he still remains one of the major influences I've had in my life while growing up. His ideas on politics, books, music, movies, etc., have contributed in shaping who I am. And I think that is true for most of the people who grew up listening to Nirvana, at least in their teenage years. I must admit, when I came across this book on Amazon, I was overwhelmed. But at the same time, it was an awkward emotion because, on one hand, there was this book that I would do anything to own. But on the other hand, knowing Kurt Cobain's love for privacy, how could you do this to him? The very cover of this book says, if you read, you will judge. However, I gave in to my capitalist fears anyhow, and I bought this book. I love Nirvana and I have loved reading. But I did not have the spine to pick this book until I came across this line, which says, "Do not read my diary when I am gone." And then a line later, he adds, "Okay, I am going to work now. When you wake up this morning, please read my diary, look through my things, and figure me out." And now that I think about it, I realize why someone would put this in the initial pages. But in any case, why is this book important? A lot of us place Kurt Cobain on a pedestal, and rightly so because of the influence he's had on the rock music scene in life and in death. But what this book does is it places him down with us. You realize how simple a man he was. I would recommend that you do some research before you dive in because there are some entries that will not make sense without any context because they are not dated. You should listen to Nirvana's music, pre-Nirvana music, because a lot of Kurt Cobain in this book is the earlier version of him before, when he was penniless and he was struggling. If you haven't, you should watch his live performances, watch his interviews. And if you think Nirvana is interesting, and if you still find Kurt Cobain worthy, invest in these journals because they are literal scanned copies of his journals, like literally. There is no typed transcript for you. You are supposed to understand his handwriting, figure it out on your own, which is a little difficult given his handwriting. But in any case, they are so rewarding. You come across these unfinished song lyrics of Lithium, No Apologies, Teen Spirit, and Dumb, and scribbling of I am not like them, but I can pretend. You realize his frustration with journalists. And there are some video ideas that you'll come across, especially heart-shaped box. And through this all, you will realize there are so many ideas that he had that we would have never related him to otherwise. From his doodles to his to-do lists to his unfinished lyrics or his chords that he's assembled there, or even his thoughts. You realize he's just like you and I, a very simple man who just happens to be famous. A lot of material from this book has been taken to create Kurt Cobain, Montage of Heck, a film about Kurt Cobain. And if you are a Nirvana enthusiast, I think you should most definitely watch it. After reading these journals, what I realized was that Kurt Cobain was an exceptionally eloquent man, very sensitive and intelligent. And right from a very young age, he stood up against any unjust oppression, whether it was against women or homosexuals or anybody else. For example, there's this diary entry that says, for boys, step 1, remember that your older brothers, cousins, uncles, and your fathers are not your role models. This means you do not do what they do, you do not do what they say. They come from a time when their role models told their sons to be mean to girls, to think of yourself as better and stronger and smarter than them. They also taught things like you will grow up strong if you act tough and fight the boys who are known as nerds or geeks. There is another diary entry that says, I have lost my mind many times and my wallet even more. In the simplest terms, do not rape. Do not be prejudiced. Do not be sexist. Love your children, love your neighbor, love yourself. And do not let your opinions obstruct the aforementioned list. The Journals by Kurt Cobain is a powerful collection of personal musings and a lifelong protest of an extraordinary artist that so many of us admire. He was a man that helped define a music category and an entire generation. Now, you will read it and you might either understand him better and relate, or you will die wondering how so many people worship a shabby individual who took his life 2 years after making it to top. Now, some of you might say Nirvana's music is outdated and it's just another rock band from this other generation. For those of you, I would say that if you keep a journal and if you want to take a peek inside a beautiful artist, then you should at least flip through these journals. So this was my this week's recommendation. I hope you liked it, and I will be back again with another recommendation next week.